Well, reaction is pouring in after the U.S. takes another shot at the Islamic State. Thursday, President Trump dropped what is being called the mother of all bombs in Afghanistan, targeting tunnels used by ISIS militants. Now, the bombing killed at least 94 ISIS fighters. President Trump called it a very successful mission, an echo of his statement after the missile attack in Syria. However, President Trump's Middle East policy seems to be a roving policy with no real focus or direction. Is President Trump giving up on his campaign pledge to stay out of Syria? Well, the fight against ISIS is our topic this half hour. Joining us now is Fox 26 senior legal analyst Chris Tritico, Democratic media consultant Mustafa Tamiz, and Republican strategist and former chair of the Harris County GOP, Jared Woodfill.
So, President Trump during the campaign, and actually before he even announced for president, told President Obama, stay out of Syria. And now that he's the president, he went in, bombed in there after the gas attack. After the gas attack, when President Obama was in, he still said to stay out. It's a different world when you're the president. President Trump is learning. Mustafa Tamiz. And now we've got this mother of all bombs, a 22,000-pound bomb dropped in Afghanistan, the biggest bomb dropped since we bombed Japan in World War II. President Trump, who was
fine if you would be a world leader and lead the world towards peace, and that's not what's happening. Dropping this bomb maybe is tactically what needs to be done, but this is not what's going to eliminate terrorism. I mean, this is a war of ideas, not just the idea of bombs, and dropping bombs alone is not going to solve the problem.
Well, you've got Korea. He's got to get some handle on what's happening in Syria. He's got to get Putin under control. And it seems to me that it may be, and I certainly can't put myself in President Trump's head, but isn't it possible that President Trump is sending a message to Putin and to North Korea that if you mess with us, there's a new sheriff in town?
But then that message is a bad message in the sense that when he bombed the airfield in Syria, they didn't bomb it enough or the right way, and the next day the planes flew right off of that airstrip, you know, killing more civilians. So that's a very fickle message if he's giving, and if he dropped the mother of all bombs in a desert and that killed, you know, a couple of dozen people, that's also the wrong
Well, that's
message.
up to 94 today.
Right. Well, I mean, but in essence, it doesn't tackle the problem of Afghanistan. I mean, yes, that happened, but it doesn't change the So
President Trump said, I'm going to enforce the red line that President Obama drew, and I'm going to bomb over this gassing. Now, I don't know if that was the right move or not, but that's President Trump said, this is what I'm going to do. They dropped that bomb, whether he approved it or not, dropped that bomb in Afghanistan. It doesn't seem to have any real direction to me on a foreign policy, but is he sending this message to North Korea and to Putin?
Well, I think it does have a lot of direction. It makes a lot of sense. He is taking a completely different approach than the Obama administration. The Obama administration said we're going to lead from behind. The speaks to ISIS is force. These are individuals who will do everything they can to try to kill Americans, cutting their heads off, driving cars full of bombs into shopping malls, you name it. Chemical weapons being used by Assad. Finally, we have a president who says enough is enough. And yes, it was a very metered, it was a very targeted strike, but it needed to be made, and it sent a message to Putin, it sent a message to Assad, and it sent a message to the North Korean leader. So I think that was important.
Except the president on his only statement about the bombing in Syria said we're not going into Syria. So the message was, I'll bomb you, but I'm not going in?
Well, that's right. He said, when he said we're not going in, he said we weren't sending troops in. So there's a big difference between bombing and putting boots on the ground. He hasn't put boots on the ground, even though I think there are 1,000 troops that are actually there as a result of the Obama administration. But let's go real quickly back to Afghanistan, because I think it was extremely important that we sent that message, that we were, and it was very consistent with his campaign promises, that we were going to target ISIS. And so using the mother of all bombs,
not disagree with that at all. The generals are saying, though, if we're going to do this, we need a clear plan for Syria, North Korea, and Afghanistan, and we don't have that yet.
Well, think about this. There are 500 to 600 troops on the ground in Syria, United States troops on the ground in Syria when we attacked that landing strip. Those troops left their base because they knew that potentially they could get the repercussions. While they left the base, the American base that was occupied, was attacked by ISIS, and then American troops ended up, fighting ISIS in turn. You're putting lives in danger because you want to live up to a campaign promise. This president has to learn that if you're the commander-in-chief, you've got to take responsibility. So when things go wrong, rather than saying it's the generals that came up with it, he is in charge and it's his decision, and he is not being thoughtful about the process.
I didn't hear him apologize for
No, but the question is,
the next time something goes wrong, let me tell you, the president's not going to apologize. He's going to blame somebody else. That's what he's always done.
Who is putting lives in danger? ISIS is putting lives in danger. When President Assad decides to violate the chemical weapons treaty and use chemical weapons on his own people, he is putting lives in danger and opening up a whole Pandora's box. And what I love about Trump is this: he doesn't come and announce what we're going to do.
Okay, that's fine.
He catches the enemy by surprise.
We got less than a minute. So let me just ask you this. We got less than a minute, and I'm fine with that. But if you're going to go in and bomb, and you're going to tell Putin you're going to have to get on board and stop this, doesn't the president need to be prepared to do more than drop some bombs? Doesn't he need to be prepared to go in and take control? And that means send troops in.
Ultimately, he does need to be able to be ready for the next step, depending on how Russia reacts, depending on how Assad reacts. If Assad says, hey, I don't care what you did, but Trump said, I'm going to violate the chemical weapons treaty again, we need to respond.
The American public is not ready to send troops back in there, are they?
And the president who says, I'm going to surprise everybody, actually announced it. We're not sending the American troops there. We're only going to bomb.
The first time a chemical weapon is used in the United States or something comes from North Korea, we'll be ready to send troops.
We got to leave it right there. I got to say, after all this, happy Easter to everybody.
Happy Easter!
Leave it right there. Jose, have a happy Easter.